A case manager at Advent Health Apopka in Florida alerted the Marion County Sheriff's Office on 6 November 2019. An 8-year-old girl has arrived at the emergency room with injuries that raise immediate red flags. The child is conscious but withdrawn, refusing to speak about what happened to her. Her body tells a different story than her silence suggests. The girl's mother, 33-year-old Rebecca Martinez, stands in the hospital corridor, visibly shaken. She explains to the intake nurse that her daughter, Sophia, returned home from school that afternoon, in tears. Rebecca had been at work when Sophia's bus dropped her off at their apartment complex. When Rebecca arrived home 2 hours later, she found Sophia locked in her bedroom, crying and holding her arms across her chest. Rebecca immediately noticed bruising on Sophia's upper arms and what appeared to be marks around her wrists. When she asked Sophia what happened, the child wouldn't answer. She only shook her head and continued crying. Rebecca checked Sophia's body more thoroughly and discovered additional bruising on her back and legs. That's when she called 911. The responding paramedics documented multiple contusions in various stages of healing, suggesting this wasn't an isolated incident. Some bruises appeared fresh, purple, and tender to the touch. Others had already begun yellowing, indicating they were several days old. The pattern was concerning enough to the medical team to involve law enforcement immediately. Detective Sarah Chen from the Marion County Sheriff's Office arrives at the hospital within 30 minutes of the call. She's worked child abuse cases for 7 years and recognizes the signs immediately. The bruising patterns, the child's traumatized silence, and the mother's genuine confusion about what happened. These elements point to abuse occurring outside the home, likely by someone the child knows and fears. Detective Chen begins her interview with Rebecca in a private consultation room. Rebecca explains that she's been divorced for 2 years and has been dating her boyfriend, 25-year-old Marcus Webb, for about 8 months. Marcus lives in his own apartment about 15 minutes from Rebecca's place. He works irregular hours at a warehouse and often stays over at Rebecca's apartment 3 or 4 nights per week. Rebecca insists that Marcus has been good with Sophia. He helps with homework sometimes, occasionally picks her up from school when Rebecca is working late, and has taken them both out for dinner and activities. Rebecca claims she's never seen Marcus be anything but patient with her daughter. She seems genuinely bewildered by the suggestion that someone might have intentionally hurt Sophia. Detective Chen asks Rebecca about Sophia's routine. The child attends Apopka Elementary School and usually takes the bus home, arriving at the apartment complex around 3:15 p.m. Rebecca works as a medical billing specialist and doesn't get home until after 5 p.m. most days. She explains that Sophia has a key and knows to go straight inside, lock the door, and start her homework. Rebecca calls to check on her every day around 4 p.m. But today was different. When Rebecca called at 4 p.m., Sophia didn't answer. Rebecca called 3 more times, but there was no response. Growing worried, Rebecca left work early and rushed home. That's when she found Sophia in her bedroom, injured and terrified. Detective Chen shifts the conversation to Marcus. Where was he today? Rebecca checks her phone and shows the detective their earlier text exchange. Marcus had messaged her around 2:30 p.m., asking if she needed him to pick up Sophia from school. Rebecca had declined, saying Sophia would take the bus as usual. Marcus replied that he was running errands anyway and could swing by. Rebecca again refused, stating she wanted Sophia to stick to her routine. This exchange catches Detective Chen's attention. Why would Marcus offer to pick up Sophia when Rebecca had already established that the child would take the bus? The detective asks Rebecca whether Marcus has a key to her apartment. Rebecca confirms that she gave him one about 3 months ago, so he could let himself in when he stayed over. Detective Chen requests Marcus's complete contact information and address. She also asks Rebecca not to contact Marcus until after the police have had a chance to speak with him. Rebecca agrees, but appears confused about why this is necessary. She maintains that Marcus couldn't be involved because he wasn't even at her apartment today. While Detective Chen interviews Rebecca, another detective attempts to speak with Sophia. The child sits in an examination room with a pediatric nurse and a child advocacy specialist. Sophia remains largely nonverbal, answering only yes or no questions with small nods or head shakes. When asked directly if someone hurt her, Sophia begins crying again. When asked if it was someone she knows, she nods. When asked if it was someone at school, she shakes her head no. The child advocacy specialist tries a different approach, asking Sophia to draw pictures of her day. Sophia draws a school bus, her apartment building, and a stick figure that appears to be herself. Then she draws another figure, taller than her stick figure, with angry eyes. The specialist asks who this person is. Sophia's hand starts shaking and she drops the crayon. The medical examination reveals the extent of Sophia's injuries. Beyond the visible bruising, the doctor discovers what appears to be grip marks on both of Sophia's upper arms, consistent with an adult forcefully grabbing and shaking her. Additional bruising on her back suggests she may have been pushed or thrown against something. The wrist marks indicate possible restraint. Most concerning are older injuries that suggest a pattern of abuse over time. The hospital photographs document everything thoroughly. The images will become crucial evidence in whatever investigation follows. The doctor's report concludes that the injuries are absolutely consistent with non-accidental trauma. There is no medical explanation for this pattern of bruising beyond intentional harm by another person. Detective Chen reviews the medical findings and makes a decision. She needs to speak with Marcus Webb immediately. However, she also needs to be strategic. If Marcus is responsible for Sophia's injuries, confronting him directly might cause him to lawyer up before they gather enough evidence. She needs probable cause for a search warrant of his apartment, but right now, all she has is suspicious timing and a traumatized child who won't speak. The detective pulls Sophia's school records and contacts the elementary school principal. She learns that Sophia's attendance has been spotty over the past 2 months. The child has missed 7 days of school, each time with notes from her mother citing illness. Rebecca claims Sophia had a cold, then a stomach bug, then another cold. The school nurse had made a note to follow up, but hadn't yet contacted Child Protective Services. Detective Chen also discovers that on 3 occasions in the past month, someone other than Rebecca picked Sophia up from school early. The sign-out sheet lists Marcus Webb as an authorized pickup person, added to Sophia's file 2 months ago with Rebecca's permission. Each time Marcus picked Sophia up, it was between 1 and 2 p.m., well before the regular school day ended. The detective contacts Rebecca again and asks about these early pickups. Rebecca seems surprised. She admits she authorized Marcus to pick up Sophia in emergencies, but she doesn't remember him actually doing so. Rebecca checks her work schedule and confirms she was at the office during each of those 3 dates. She never received any calls from the school or from Marcus about him picking Sophia up early. This information shifts everything. Marcus had access to Sophia without Rebecca's knowledge. He had taken the child from school multiple times without informing her mother. And now Sophia has returned home with injuries she won't explain, on a day when Marcus had offered to pick her up, despite Rebecca saying no. Detective Chen needs more before she can get a warrant. She sends 2 deputies to Marcus Webb's apartment complex to conduct what they call a knock and talk. It's a standard investigative technique where officers show up and ask to speak with someone. If the person refuses, that's their right. But often people will talk, especially if they think refusing makes them look guilty. The deputies arrive at Marcus's apartment around 7:30 p.m. They knock on the door. No answer. They knock again. Still nothing. A neighbor emerges from the adjacent unit and asks if there's a problem. The deputies explain they're looking for Marcus Webb. The neighbor says she saw Marcus come home around 6 p.m., but thought she heard him leave again about 20 minutes ago. The deputies thank the neighbor and return to their vehicle to wait. If Marcus is simply out running errands, he'll return. If he's avoiding them, that's information too. They settle in for surveillance, parking where they can see Marcus's front door and his assigned parking space. Back at the hospital, the child advocacy specialist makes a breakthrough with Sophia. Using anatomically correct dolls, she asks Sophia to show what happened without using words. Sophia hesitates, then slowly demonstrates someone grabbing the doll's arms and shaking it violently. She shows the doll being pushed down. She shows the doll's hands tightly clasped. Through this demonstration, Sophia communicates what she couldn't say out loud. The specialist gently asks Sophia where this happened. Sophia picks up a toy house and points to it, then shakes her head. She picks up a toy car and nods. The specialist asks if it happened in someone's car. Sophia nods. The specialist asks if it happened in someone's home. Sophia nods again. The specialist asks if it was her home. Sophia shakes her head. Another home. A home that isn't hers. Detective Chen receives this update while reviewing Marcus Webb's background check. He has no prior arrests, no criminal record, nothing that would have raised flags when Rebecca started dating him. He's worked at the same warehouse for 3 years, pays his bills on time, and by all accounts appears to be a regular young man. But Detective Chen knows that abusers don't always have criminal histories. Sometimes, this is their first time getting caught. Sometimes they've been careful enough to avoid detection until now. The detective focuses on building her case methodically. She obtains phone records for both Rebecca and Marcus through an emergency disclosure request based on the child abuse investigation. The documents show that Marcus called Rebecca 4 times today between 2:30 and 4 p.m. Rebecca answered twice and spoke briefly each time. The other 2 calls went to voicemail. The records also show Marcus's location data from his phone. He was near Sophia's school at 3 p.m., just as dismissal was about to start. His phone then traveled toward his apartment, arriving there at 3:25 p.m. It remained at that location until 6 p.m. Detective Chen now has a timeline. Sophia's bus arrived at her apartment complex at 3:15 p.m. Marcus's phone shows he was in the area at 3 p.m. and arrived at his own apartment by 3:25 p.m. If he intercepted Sophia somehow between the bus stop and her apartment, took her to his place, abused her, and returned her home. The timing would be tight, but possible. The detective needs something more concrete. She needs evidence that Sophia was actually at Marcus's apartment. She needs a reason to search that apartment beyond suspicion and timeline analysis. She needs probable cause that will convince a judge to issue a warrant. And then she gets the call she's been waiting for. At 9:47 p.m., Detective Chen receives a call from the deputies conducting surveillance at Marcus Webb's apartment. Marcus has returned, but he's not alone. He arrived with another man, and both appeared to be carrying cleaning supplies into the apartment. The deputies note that Marcus made 3 trips from his car, bringing in bottles of bleach, trash bags, and what appeared to be a carpet cleaning machine. Detective Chen immediately recognizes this behavior. Subjects attempting to destroy evidence often engage in excessive cleaning after learning police are looking for them. The question is, how Marcus knew they were investigating. The detective checks with Rebecca, who confirms she hasn't contacted Marcus. But Rebecca's mother had called earlier, and Rebecca had explained what happened with Sophia. The mother may have mentioned something to someone, and word traveled through social circles back to Marcus. The deputy watching Marcus's apartment reports additional activity. Through the first-floor window, he can see Marcus moving frantically around the living room. The other man appears to be helping him move furniture. This isn't normal evening behavior. This is someone who knows he's in trouble and is trying to eliminate anything that might incriminate him. Detective Chen makes a calculated decision. She drives to Marcus's apartment complex herself, bringing 2 additional detectives with her. They approach the door at 10:15 p.m. and knock firmly. The cleaning sounds inside stop immediately. They hear hushed voices. Detective Chen knocks again and identifies herself as a law enforcement officer. Marcus opens the door partially, keeping the chain lock engaged. He asks what this is about. Detective Chen explains they're investigating an incident involving a child and would like to ask him some questions. Marcus's face goes pale. He glances behind him into the apartment, then back at the detectives. He asks if he needs a lawyer. Detective Chen tells him that's his right, but they're simply trying to understand what happened to Sofia Martinez today. At the mention of Sofia's name, Marcus's hands begin trembling. He grips the door frame to steady himself. He insists he hasn't seen Sofia today. He claims he was at work until 2 p.m., then ran errands, then came home. The detective points out that his phone records show he was near Sofia's school around dismissal time. Marcus stammers that he was just in the area, maybe driving past. He changes his story, saying he went by the school but didn't stop. He was checking to make sure Sofia got on her bus safely, because Rebecca had mentioned being worried about the child walking to the bus stop alone. This explanation doesn't align with Rebecca's account. She never expressed concern about Sofia's bus routine. Detective Chen notes this discrepancy, but doesn't reveal it. Instead, she asks if Marcus would be willing to come to the station to provide a formal statement. Marcus refuses. He says he's tired and wants to go to bed. He attempts to close the door. Detective Chen asks one more question. She asks if Sofia has ever been to his apartment. Marcus hesitates too long before answering. He finally says that Sofia came over once or twice when he and Rebecca first started dating. But not recently. Rebecca wanted to keep her home life and dating life separate, he claims. The detective thanks him for his time and leaves. But she doesn't leave the complex. She positions her vehicle where she can observe Marcus's apartment while she makes phone calls. First, she contacts an assistant state attorney to discuss obtaining an emergency search warrant. The attorney explains they need more than suspicious behavior and timeline inconsistencies. They need evidence that Sofia was actually in that apartment. Detective Chen considers her options. She could wait until morning and try to get Sofia to provide more specific information about where the abuse occurred. But every hour that passes gives Marcus more time to clean and destroy evidence. She needs something now. The detective calls the hospital and speaks with the pediatric nurse who examined Sofia. She asks if they collected any evidence from Sofia's clothing. The nurse confirms they bagged everything Sofia was wearing. Standard procedure for suspected abuse cases. Detective Chen requests that the clothing be sent to the crime lab for processing immediately. While waiting, Detective Chen interviews Marcus's neighbor, the woman who had spoken to the deputies earlier. The neighbor, Patricia Coleman, is a retired teacher who has lived in the complex for 12 years. She knows Marcus casually, occasionally sees him coming and going, but they've never had substantial conversations. Patricia mentions something that catches the detective's attention. About a month ago, she heard a child crying in Marcus's apartment. It was a school day, around 2 p.m., which struck her as odd because she didn't know Marcus had any children. The crying lasted about 10 minutes, then stopped abruptly. Patricia almost knocked on the door to check, but decided it wasn't her business. Detective Chen asks if Patricia heard anything today. Patricia thinks carefully, then remembers she did hear something around 3:30 p.m. She describes it as thumping sounds, like furniture being moved or something heavy being dropped. Then she heard what might have been a child's voice, high-pitched and upset. The sounds stopped after a few minutes, and Patricia went back to watching her television program. The detective asks Patricia if she'd be willing to provide a formal statement. Patricia agrees immediately. She explains that she worked with children her entire career and has always regretted not checking on the crying child she heard a month ago. If she had, this situation could have been prevented. At 11:30 p.m., Detective Chen receives a call from the crime lab. They found something on Sophia's clothing. Transfer evidence on the girl's shirt includes fibers that appear to match carpet material. More significantly, they found a partial fingerprint on Sophia's jacket zipper that doesn't belong to Sophia or her mother. The print is fresh, likely left within the past 24 hours. The lab technician explains that the fingerprint's location suggests someone else zipped or unzipped Sophia's jacket for her. The print is positioned exactly where an adult's thumb would rest while manipulating the zipper pull. If they can match this print to Marcus Webb, it places him in direct physical contact with Sophia today. But Detective Chen needs Marcus's fingerprints to make a comparison. She could ask him to provide them voluntarily, but he's already refused to cooperate. She could wait until they have enough evidence to arrest him, then take his prints as part of the booking process. Or she could find another way to obtain them. The detective remembers something from Marcus's background check. He has a concealed carry permit, which required fingerprinting. Those prints would be on file with the state. Detective Chen contacts the Department of Agriculture, which handles concealed carry permits in Florida, and requests Marcus Webb's fingerprint records. Due to the emergency nature of the child abuse investigation, they agree to expedite the request. By 1:30 a.m., Detective Chen has Marcus's fingerprints from his permit application. She forwards them to the crime lab for comparison with the print found on Sophia's jacket. The analysis takes 40 minutes. At 2:10 a.m., the lab calls back with confirmation. The print on Sophia's jacket is a definitive match to Marcus Webb's right thumb. This is the evidence Detective Chen needed. Marcus told her he hasn't seen Sophia recently. He claimed he was driving past the school, but his fingerprint is on her jacket, fresh from today. He had physical contact with Sophia, and he lied about it. Detective Chen immediately begins drafting a search warrant application for Marcus's apartment. She includes the fingerprint match, the neighbor's statement about hearing a child in distress, Marcus's suspicious cleaning behavior, the phone location data, and Sophia's injuries. Together, these facts establish probable cause that evidence of child abuse exists in Marcus's residence. The assistant state attorney reviews the warrant application and approves it. At 3:15 a.m., Detective Chen appears before an on-call judge who reviews the probable cause affidavit. The judge signs the search warrant at 3:40 a.m., authorizing law enforcement to search Marcus Webb's apartment for evidence related to the abuse of Sophia Martinez. Detective Chen assembles a team. She wants crime scene technicians, evidence collection specialists, and additional detectives. They need to process this scene thoroughly because Marcus has already attempted to clean. Finding evidence will be challenging, but not impossible. Bleach destroys DNA but doesn't eliminate everything. Luminol can reveal blood evidence even after washing. Forensic techniques can uncover what people try to hide. At 4:30 a.m., the team approaches Marcus's apartment. Detective Chen knocks loudly and announces they have a search warrant. Marcus doesn't answer. She strikes again, shouting that they will force entry if necessary. Finally, the door opens. Marcus stands in the doorway wearing the same clothes from earlier. His eyes are bloodshot, and he smells strongly of cleaning chemicals. Detective Chen hands him the warrant and explains they will be searching his apartment. Marcus reads the document, his hands shaking so badly he can barely hold the paper. The team enters and begins their systematic search. The apartment is small, just a one-bedroom unit with a combined living and dining area. The carpet in the living room is damp, clearly recently shampooed. The smell of bleach is overwhelming, particularly in the bathroom. Every surface appears to have been scrubbed. Crime scene technicians begin with luminol testing. They close the blinds, darken the room, and spray the chemical reagent on the living room carpet. Under UV light, several areas glow bright blue, indicating the presence of blood. Marcus has cleaned it, but traces remain. The blood evidence shows a pattern consistent with someone bleeding while lying on the floor. Detective Chen watches Marcus's reaction to the luminol results. His face crumbles. He sinks onto the couch and puts his head in his hands. He doesn't speak, but his body language communicates defeat. He knows they've found what he tried to hide. The technicians continue their work. They find more blood traces in the bathroom, suggesting Sophia was injured badly enough to bleed in multiple locations. They discover small handprints on the wall near the floor, child-sized, positioned as though someone was trying to brace themselves or push away from something. In the bedroom, technicians find fibers on the bed that appear to match Sophia's clothing. They also discover a child's hair elastic on the nightstand, pink with a small butterfly decoration. When shown a photograph, Rebecca confirms it belongs to Sophia. She had been wearing it when she left for school that morning. The most damaging evidence comes from the bathroom trash can, which Marcus forgot to empty during his cleaning frenzy. Buried beneath other garbage, investigators find paper towels stained with blood. The amount isn't large, but it's consistent with cleaning up after someone sustained injuries from physical violence. Detective Chen also finds something else in the trash: fragments of a broken picture frame and a photograph torn into pieces. The technicians carefully reconstruct the photo. It shows Marcus and Rebecca together, smiling. But someone has violently defaced Rebecca's face in the image, scratching it out with what appears to be a knife or sharp object. This evidence suggests rage directed at Rebecca. Combined with the text messages where Marcus repeatedly tried to contact her today, a picture emerges. Marcus was angry at Rebecca. When he saw Sophia, Rebecca's daughter, he took out that anger on a defenseless child. By 6 a.m., the search is complete. The evidence team has collected blood samples, fibers, the hair elastic, the defaced photograph, cleaning supplies, and numerous other items. Everything will be processed and analyzed, but they already have enough to establish that Sophia was in this apartment and that she bled here. Detective Chen approaches Marcus, who hasn't moved from the couch. She asks if he wants to explain what happened. Marcus looks up at her with empty eyes. He asks for a lawyer. Detective Chen nods, not surprised. She places Marcus under arrest for child abuse and reads him his rights. As Marcus is handcuffed and led out of the apartment, neighbors gather in the hallway. Patricia Coleman watches with tears in her eyes. She tells Detective Chen she wishes she had called police a month ago when she first heard a child crying. Maybe Sophia would have been spared what happened yesterday. Detective Chen reassures Patricia that she's helping now by providing her statement. Sometimes people don't realize what they're witnessing until it's too late. The important thing is that Marcus will face justice for what he did. Marcus is transported to the Marion County Jail for booking. His fingerprints are retaken, photographs are captured, and he's placed in a holding cell. He exercises his right to remain silent and requests an attorney. The public defender's office is notified. Meanwhile, Detective Chen returns to the hospital where Sophia remains overnight for observation. The child is finally sleeping, sedated slightly to help her rest. Rebecca sits beside her daughter's bed, exhausted and devastated. She asks Detective Chen if Marcus really did this. The detective explains they have substantial evidence placing Sophia in Marcus's apartment and showing she was injured there. Rebecca begins crying, repeating that she had no idea. She trusted Marcus. She let him into their lives. She gave him access to her daughter. Detective Chen tells Rebecca this isn't her fault. Abusers are skilled at hiding their true nature. Marcus presented himself as trustworthy, and Rebecca had no reason to suspect otherwise. The important thing now is that Sophia is safe, and Marcus is in custody. The investigation intensifies over the following 72 hours as detectives piece together a timeline that reveals the calculated nature of Marcus Webb's actions. Phone records show that Marcus had been monitoring Sophia's routine for weeks, noting when Rebecca worked late and when the child would be vulnerable. Detective Chen conducts additional interviews with parents at Sophia's school. 3 mothers recall seeing Marcus waiting near the bus line on multiple occasions over the past month, always on days when Rebecca confirmed she was working until at least 5 p.m. He told one parent he was there to surprise his girlfriend's daughter. Another parent remembered Marcus specifically asking which bus Sophia took and what time it typically arrived at their apartment complex. The crime lab completes its analysis of the blood evidence collected from Marcus's apartment. DNA testing confirms the blood belongs to Sophia Martinez. The distribution pattern indicates she bled from injuries to her face and arms, consistent with being struck multiple times. The blood evidence directly contradicts Marcus's claim that Sophia was never in his apartment. Further analysis of Sophia's clothing reveals additional transfer evidence. Microscopic paint chips embedded in her shirt fabric match paint samples taken from Marcus's living room wall. The forensic examiner concludes that Sophia was pressed or thrown against that specific wall with sufficient force to dislodge paint fragments. Detective Chen obtains Marcus's work records from the warehouse where he's employed. His timesheets show he requested early release on November 6th, clocking out at 1:45 p.m. instead of his scheduled 5 p.m. His supervisor notes that Marcus claimed a family emergency. This early departure gave Marcus ample time to position himself near Sophia's school before dismissal. Security footage from a convenience store 3 blocks from Sophia's school captures Marcus purchasing zip ties and duct tape at 2:35 p.m. on November 6th. The timestamp places him in the area well before school dismissal. When investigators search his apartment more thoroughly, they find a receipt for these items in his kitchen drawer, but the items themselves are never located. The implication is alarming. Rebecca provides Detective Chen with access to her home computer and discovers that Marcus had been using it to search for information about child custody laws and parental rights in Florida. The search history reveals dozens of queries about whether a mother's boyfriend could gain legal custody of her children if something happened to the mother. Other searches included phrases like, "How to discipline someone else's child," and "When does punishment become abuse?" These searches paint a picture of someone who saw himself as having authority over Sophia that he didn't actually possess. Marcus had begun viewing himself as a parental figure with rights to discipline Rebecca's daughter, despite having no legal relationship to the child whatsoever. Detective Chen interviews Marcus's co-workers and learns that he had been complaining about Rebecca's parenting for weeks. He told multiple people that Rebecca was too soft on Sophia, that the child needed stricter discipline, and that he could do a better job raising her. Co-workers describe Marcus as increasingly agitated when discussing Rebecca and Sophia, particularly after Rebecca began pulling back from the relationship. Text messages between Marcus and his own mother reveal additional concerning information. In one exchange from 2 weeks before the incident, Marcus wrote that Rebecca was talking about ending their relationship. He expressed anger that Rebecca would abandon him after he had invested so much time helping raise her daughter. His mother advised him to accept the breakup and move on. Marcus responded that he wasn't ready to let them go yet. The medical team provides Detective Chen with their complete evaluation of Sophia's injuries. Beyond the evident bruising, X-rays reveal a partially healed fracture in Sophia's left forearm that Rebecca knew nothing about. The injury is approximately 3 weeks old, placing it during the time when Marcus picked Sophia up early from school on 3 separate occasions. Dr. Patricia Hayes, a pediatric abuse specialist, reviews Sophia's medical file and provides her expert opinion. The pattern of injuries indicates sustained abuse over several weeks, not a single incident. The older fracture, the multiple bruises in various stages of healing, and the fresh injuries from November 6th all point to repeated violence. Dr. Hayes concludes that Sophia was being systematically abused during the times Marcus had access to her without Rebecca's supervision. Armed with this comprehensive evidence, the state attorney's office files upgraded charges against Marcus Webb. In addition to child abuse, he now faces charges of aggravated battery, false imprisonment, and kidnapping. The kidnapping charge stems from Marcus taking Sophia from near her apartment complex to his residence without parental permission and holding her there against her will. Marcus's attorney attempts to negotiate a plea deal, but prosecutors refuse. The evidence is overwhelming, and they intend to pursue maximum penalties. The assistant state attorney assigned to the case tells Detective Chen they're building toward charges that could result in decades in prison. Meanwhile, Child Protective Services works with Rebecca and Sophia to establish safety protocols and arrange counseling. Sophia begins seeing a child psychologist specializing in trauma. During her 4th session, Sophia finally speaks about what Marcus did to her. Through careful, age-appropriate questioning, Sophia describes how Marcus would pick her up from school and tell her it was a surprise for her mother. He would take her to his apartment and initially give her snacks and let her watch television. But over time, his behavior changed. He began criticizing her, telling her she was badly behaved and needed to learn respect. Sophia describes being grabbed by her arms and shaken when she asked to go home. She recounts Marcus yelling at her that she was ungrateful, that her mother didn't appreciate him, and that Sophia needed to learn discipline. The arm fracture occurred when Marcus twisted her arm behind her back as punishment for spilling juice on his couch. On November 6th, Sophia explains that Marcus was waiting near the bus stop when she got off. He told her to come with him because her mother wanted her to stay at his apartment for a while. Sophia didn't want to go, but was afraid to refuse. Once inside his apartment, Marcus became angry, accusing Sophia of telling her mother bad things about him and ruining his relationship with Rebecca. Sophia tried to leave, but Marcus blocked the door. When she started crying and asking for her mother, Marcus grabbed her and threw her against the living room wall. He told her to stop crying, or he would give her something to really cry about. When Sophia continued sobbing, Marcus struck her multiple times on her arms and back. He squeezed her wrists so tightly she thought her bones would break. After the assault, Marcus seemed to realize what he had done. He tried to clean Sophia up, washing her face and straightening her clothes. He told her that if she told anyone what happened, he would hurt her mother. He said nobody would believe her anyway because adults don't listen to children. Then he drove her back to her apartment complex and made her promise not to say anything. Sophia's testimony, provided through the child psychologist and recorded for potential court use, becomes the centerpiece of the prosecution's case. Combined with the physical evidence, witness statements, and Marcus's own lies to investigators, the case against him is ironclad. 4 months after his arrest, Marcus Webb faces a preliminary hearing where a judge reviews the evidence and determines there is sufficient probable cause to proceed to trial. Marcus's defense attorney argues that the evidence is circumstantial and that Sophia's testimony is unreliable due to her age. The judge disagrees, finding that the combination of forensic evidence, witness statements, and the child's consistent account establishes a strong case. The defense makes one final attempt at a plea agreement, offering to plead guilty to reduced charges in exchange for a lighter sentence. The prosecution counters with an offer: plead guilty to all charges as filed, accept a sentence of 25 years in prison, and register as a violent offender upon release. Marcus consults with his attorney for several days before declining the offer. He insists on taking his case to trial. The trial begins on August 12, 2020, 9 months after Sophia's assault. The prosecution presents their evidence methodically over 5 days. Dr. Hayes testifies about the pattern of injuries and explains how the medical evidence proves sustained abuse. Crime scene technicians walk the jury through the forensic findings from Marcus's apartment. Patricia Coleman describes hearing a child in distress. Rebecca testifies about Marcus's increasing controlling behavior and his anger when she tried to distance herself from the relationship. The most powerful testimony comes from Sophia herself. Now 9 years old and having worked extensively with her therapist, Sophia takes the stand and describes what Marcus did to her. Her testimony is clear, detailed, and devastating. She identifies Marcus in the courtroom and explains that she was afraid of him, but is not scared anymore because her mother and the detectives promised he cannot hurt her now. Marcus's defense attempts to suggest that Sophia's injuries could have come from playground accidents or rough play with other children. They argue that the blood in Marcus's apartment could have been from the nosebleed during one of Sophia's earlier visits when Rebecca was present. They claim the fingerprint on Sophia's jacket proves nothing, except that Marcus had contact with her at some point, which he never entirely denied. The prosecution dismantles each argument systematically. Medical experts explain that Sophia's injuries are absolutely inconsistent with playground accidents. The blood pattern evidence proves someone was injured while lying on the floor, not from a simple nosebleed. The fingerprint, combined with Marcus's lies about when he last saw Sophia and his location data from the day of the assault, proves he had recent contact with her despite his denials. The jury deliberates for 6 hours before reaching a verdict. They find Marcus Webb guilty on all counts: aggravated child abuse, aggravated battery, false imprisonment, and kidnapping. The courtroom remains silent as the verdict is read, but Rebecca begins crying quietly, holding Sophia close to her. During the sentencing phase 3 weeks later, the judge hears victim impact statements. Rebecca describes the guilt she carries for allowing Marcus into their lives and the ongoing trauma Sophia experiences. She explains that her daughter has nightmares, fears being alone, and struggles with trusting adults. Rebecca notes that simple activities like going to school or being dropped off at a friend's house now trigger anxiety in Sophia because of what Marcus did. Sophia, with her mother's support, also provides a brief statement. She tells the judge that Marcus hurt her and scared her, but that she is working hard in therapy to feel safe again. She says she wants other children to know that if someone hurts them, they should tell a trusted adult, even if the person says not to. The judge delivers his ruling. He sentences Marcus Webb to 35 years in the Florida Department of Corrections, with no possibility of parole for the first 25 years. He describes Marcus's actions as predatory, calculating, and fundamentally evil. The judge notes that Marcus specifically targeted a vulnerable child, isolated her from her mother, and inflicted sustained abuse while manipulating both Sophia and Rebecca. Additionally, Marcus must register as a violent offender and is prohibited from any contact with minors upon his eventual release. The judge orders that Marcus undergo psychological evaluation and treatment while incarcerated, though he expresses doubt that someone capable of such calculated cruelty toward a child can be rehabilitated. Marcus shows no emotion as the sentence is delivered. He is immediately remanded to custody and transferred to a state prison facility. His attorney files an automatic appeal, but legal experts consulted by Detective Chen believe the conviction will be upheld given the strength of the evidence and the proper handling of the case. Detective Chen closes her case file on Marcus Webb, but maintains contact with Rebecca and Sophia. She attends several of Sophia's therapy sessions to help the child process what happened and understand that justice was served. The detective explains to Sophia that she was courageous for eventually speaking about what Marcus did, and that her testimony helped ensure he would never hurt another child. Rebecca eventually moves to a different apartment complex, wanting a fresh start away from the location where Marcus had access to their lives. She becomes an advocate for child abuse awareness, speaking at local schools and community centers about recognizing warning signs of abusive relationships and protecting children from predators who disguise themselves as trustworthy partners. Sophia continues therapy throughout her childhood. Her psychologist reports steady progress, though the trauma will likely affect her for years to come. She struggles with trusting male authority figures and experiences periodic nightmares about being trapped. However, she also demonstrates remarkable resilience, returning to school, rebuilding friendships, and slowly regaining the sense of safety that Marcus stole from her. The fingerprint evidence that broke the case open becomes a teaching example used by the Marion County Sheriff's Office in training new investigators. Detective Chen presents the case at law enforcement conferences, emphasizing the importance of collecting all possible evidence from victims' clothing and the value of thorough forensic analysis, even when suspects attempt to destroy evidence. The case also prompts changes in school district policies regarding authorized pickup persons. Schools now require annual verification of who is permitted to pick up children and immediately notify parents via text or app notification whenever a child is signed out early by someone other than the primary guardian. 3 years after Marcus's conviction, Detective Chen receives a letter from Rebecca. She writes that Sophia is doing well, excelling in school, and has joined the soccer team. The nightmares have decreased significantly, and Sophia is learning to trust again. Rebecca thanks the detective for believing her daughter, for working tirelessly to build the case against Marcus, and for ensuring justice was served. Rebecca's letter includes a drawing from Sophia, showing a police badge with a heart in the center, and the words, "Thank you for keeping me safe," written in careful cursive. Detective Chen frames the drawing and keeps it in her office as a reminder of why she does this work. Marcus Webb remains incarcerated at Wakulla Correctional Institution, with an earliest possible release date of August 2045. Prison records indicate he has been written up multiple times for disciplinary violations and refuses to participate in treatment programs. Fellow inmates and corrections officers describe him as bitter, maintaining that he did nothing wrong and that the system mistreated him. The case of Marcus Webb stands as a stark reminder that child predators often hide in plain sight, presenting themselves as helpful, caring partners while concealing their true intentions. The investigation demonstrated how crucial forensic evidence, particularly fingerprint analysis, can be in establishing facts when victims are too traumatized to speak about their abuse immediately. For Sophia Martinez, now a teenager working through her trauma with continued support, the case represents both the worst and best of what can happen when a child is victimized. The worst. A trusted adult exploited his access to hurt her repeatedly. The best? A dedicated detective, thorough investigation, and vigorous prosecution ensured her abuser faced full accountability for his crimes. The fingerprints Marcus left on Sophia's jacket, the evidence he thought he could bleach away, and the courage Sophia eventually found to tell her story combined to deliver justice. In Detective Chen's words, documented in the case file's closing summary, this investigation proved that even when predators work to hide their crimes, forensic science and determined investigators can uncover the truth and protect the most vulnerable among us.